Greetings, everyone. It's Crime Talk with Crin, and we are back with episode 27. I have been a little under the weather, but I had to jump in and talk about the Idaho 4 case. I'm not even going to do a whole lot in the beginning. I'm going to just jump right in. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell because I don't have a set schedule just yet, but we're working on it. And like the video, let me know what you think. But the Idaho 4 case, as you can see by the title of the video, one of the surviving roommates has recanted her story. And this comes about in one of the pre-trial hearings. And honestly, I am blown away. If you have been following me from the beginning, you know I hopped on the scene talking about the surviving roommates. It never felt right. It's just the craziest, one of the craziest details in a very crazy case. And we're going to get right into it. So apparently, apparently, DM has recanted her story. Apparently, according to Ann Taylor, in a court of law, has said that DM claims that she was either intoxicated or she was sleepy, thought it was a dream, and, she doesn't know what happened. She doesn't remember what happened. And I'm like, what? So, they're trying to get her testimony thrown out. Rightfully so. If she has recanted her story, it should have been scrapped. Cutting room floor, done. But instead, it became the foundation of the probable cause affidavit, and I'm just trying to figure out why. How? What is going on here? So, to be clear, I do not believe, and I've seen a couple creators like, I said she was drunk. I don't believe that Dylan thought it was a nightmare, thought she was dreaming, was too drunk, too tired, too intoxicated, doesn't know what happened. I don't believe it. And I'm going to go on record from the gate and say, I don't believe it. Now, a possible reason why she would have recanted her story, and a lot of people speculated this in the beginning, is that the same reason why she would have been spared in the first place. That her and BF were spared because they said, hey, this don't have nothing to do with you. Don't say nothing, won't be nothing. Don't call the cops until such and such a time. Don't say nothing. You didn't see nothing. You don't know nothing. And so people, have speculated that that's why she was spared. Okay. So if we run with that scenario, her recanting her story could be because she was scared. She could have been threatened. I don't believe that she doesn't remember. I don't believe any of that. But if that's what happened, a likely scenario is because she was scared. Because she's been threatened. She knew she wasn't supposed to say nothing. And, maybe she felt like she said too much. And I felt like her story in the probable cause affidavit was a lie. I feel like that was a lie. I feel like the reason that she recanted was a lie. I don't believe anything that she says. And I would like that to be on the record. If you guys didn't know that from my previous videos, I think it's a bunch of garbage. But anyway, I think that she's young and foolish enough to think that if she recants, then what she told the police will never see the light of day, and she's just off scot-free. That's what I think. I think, she Even though I believe what she told the police was not true, there might have been something too close to the truth in there. And for that reason, she felt like she had to recant, because now, the block is hot, people are talking, and she doesn't want any of the smoke. Possibly. But anyway, so regardless of the fact, it's all foolishness. But now that we have more bits and pieces to the story, it's worse than what we were told in the beginning. And I didn't even think it was possible for this story to get any worse. But we don't know, what all happened, but it's coming out. It's coming out. I said in one of my previous videos that I felt like law enforcement threw her under the bus. And I felt like they could have made the probable cause affidavit without putting her in there. BF wasn't in there. BF wasn't named all up and through there. We didn't get basically anything from her. We didn't get anything from the other surviving roommate. But this one, DM, they have her all up and through there. And so I always thought that was odd, that they would kick her under the bus like that. And now I'm wondering if, because she came back and said, oh no, I don't remember. No. They showed her a picture of him. She says, I don't, doesn't look familiar, not ringing any bells. And I think maybe they were irritated, felt like she was playing. And so they they threw her under the bus. This is just me speculating, 100% speculating. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out. So Ann Taylor is trying to get this completely thrown out, as she should. But I mean, if you think about it, and this has been discussed for 2 years now, they based the entire probable cause affidavit, the timeline, on her story. So now, if she's found to be not credible, why aren't we back at square one? What do we have left? What's left if her story means diddly, nothing, thrown out, garbage, and they made the timeline? Because originally, up until the probable cause affidavit came out, we were told that this happened earlier in the night. So now they're basing the probable cause on what she said, even though she had since recanted several times and they still went with it. So what do we have here? It's been said that the description of the suspect was janky at best. That was the most nondescript description ever. Athletic but not muscular. How do you know? If he's dressed in all black in a dark hallway, how do you know? It didn't make any sense. So, again, if she's saying that she doesn't remember what happened, how can we still hold on to the bushy eyebrows? I was drunk. I thought I was dreaming. Bushy eyebrows, that's the best you could come up with? And now they're like, oh yeah, we pulled his license and he fits the description. Was that before or after she told y'all, no, I don't remember? They said that he had on a ninja mask. And his eye color didn't come into the equation, but you remembered his eyebrows in a ninja mask, but not his eye color? When they put out the new mugshot after they did the change of venue, that always stuck in my head. How didn't his eye color come into play? I know it's dark, but you would notice something like that. I remember there was a lot of people on Twitter saying that he reminded them, Brian Koberger reminded them of Jake Gyllenhaal. When that picture came out, the new mugshot, the first person I thought about was Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz has the brightest and lightest eyes that I've ever seen. And so you have this guy that would stand out. The mugshot that they put out from Moscow didn't do him any justice. And I felt like the new mugshot showed the lack of bias. It's just like, look, this is what he looked like. Here you go. This is the new mugshot. They weren't trying to focus on this like dark, mysterious, creepy guy. They weren't doing that. It was just like, here you go. Take the picture, go. Another thing was her mentioning somebody running up and down the hall. Or up and down the steps. So if all the roommates were supposed to be asleep, if everybody was supposed to be asleep, who's running up and down the hall? If she said this to you about somebody running up and down the hall, how did you turn this, or up and down the steps, excuse me, how did you turn this into, oh, it was one person that did it? I don't even know where they got the everybody's sleep story from, because apparently she thought that Kaylee was playing with her dog. That was in the probable cause affidavit, that she thought Kaylee was playing with her dog. So y'all left that part in there to go along with the dog barking on the camera. But somebody running up and down the steps, y'all left that out. Because it doesn't fit the narrative. I can't wait to see what these text messages say between the two surviving roommates. Because if you guys are leaving this kind of stuff out, there's no telling what their text messages say. This is bad. This is bad. Like, this is really bad. Kaylee's playing with the dog. Xana got the DoorDash. Somebody's running up and down the steps. But everybody's asleep. And I always said that I felt like they put the narrative out that everybody was sleeping because they did not want to put DM and BF at the forefront. They were trying to say, oh, you know, somebody's out there. They didn't want them to be in danger. So they was like, oh, everybody sleep. They don't know what happened. And I'm like, it doesn't jive. It's not jiving, especially if you guys are trying to say that this was random. According to DM, she's opening her bedroom door over and over again. There was a story about her yelling up the steps. In the probable cause affidavit, it says that he walked past her. It didn't say that she shut the door. It said he walked past her and then she saw which way he was heading. So you know she didn't shut the door. Come on. Come on. We have to make it make sense. Like, we have to make it make sense. And it doesn't. This whole thing has been blown out the water. Blown out the water. What do we have? What do we have? I'm going to get into the DNA debacle in another video. But right now, they said that the surviving roommate recanted her story. So she recanted her story. How is this what you based the PCA timeline off of? Why did you still roll with it? Why are we 2 years down the track and this is just coming out? So, like I said, you know, I've been under the weather the last few days. I've been, you know, focusing on, you know, school and some other, you know, things that has, you know, pulled my attention away and hasn't given me the time to put out videos. But I've been following. And I've seen, a few videos after the hearings, and I haven't yet heard anybody point it out. I'm not saying nobody else pointed it out. I'm just saying I haven't heard it yet. But the $10 trillion question is if DM recanted her story saying that she was too drunk or intoxicated. She thought she was dreaming. What is her alibi now? If she recanted her story, shouldn't that include her alibi? If she says she doesn't know what happened, that's not clearing her. Right? What is her alibi? Because how can you remember what your alibi is and not remember if this was a dream or not? How do you wake up, supposedly? I don't even know if she ever went to sleep that night. But how do you wake up and know that almost everybody in your house has been unalived? And at some point, still part your lips to say to law enforcement, I might have been dreaming. Hello, they're gone. How could you say something like that? I am flabbergasted. How could you can't say, oh, maybe I was dreaming. No, they're gone. They've been unalived. This really happened. It wasn't a dream. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why? Like seriously. You said what you said. You came back later and was like, oh, nah, I was tripping. I don't know. You can't say maybe I was dreaming if they're actually gone. Come on. This is ridiculous. So, again, what's the alibi? Put it all together, and what do you get? No alibi. Take her original story, take the fact that she recanted, the reason that she's saying that she recanted, and then add in the fact that she never called the police. That she called other people to the house, and somebody else had to call the police more than 8 hours later. What do we have here? What are we talking about here? When everybody started jumping out the window, when in the very beginning, when people started mentioning the surviving roommates and everybody was giving them grace upon grace upon grace, and oh, they're victims too, and whoop-de-whoop and all this other stuff. And I'm like, it did not feel organic to me. And I know that we're in a very hypersensitive society. I know that. And I know that there's, believe the victim and all of that. Believe women and all of that. I know that this is where we are in a society. But how, in this situation, can you hear that there are 6 people in the house, 4 of them are slaughtered, other 2 people who were awake never called the police, and we're calling them victims too, because they're young people and we don't know what they heard and we don't know what they experienced. And according to her, originally, she didn't know what was going on, and that's why she didn't call the police, because she didn't know what was going on. But then you're in frozen shock, and so what were you scared of? You kept looking out your door because you're hearing stuff. And then you see somebody walk by, now you're in frozen shock. But you weren't, once you snapped out of shock, you didn't say, oh, that was wild last night. Let me see what happened. I still can't get over the fact that it was all this talk about Ethan and Xana and trying to get in contact with Ethan and Xana, and we called people over because we couldn't get in contact with Ethan and Xana. Never once said that they went upstairs. Never mentioned Kaylee and Maddie once. That's always been suspect to me. And then throw in now the new detail of the recanted story. And it's like, okay, come on. Come on. Come on. This is ridiculous. But like I was saying, everybody coming to their defense, everybody said, don't talk about the roommates, don't talk about the roommates, don't talk about the roommates. It didn't seem organic. It seemed like a planted narrative that people picked up and rolled with. Because a lot of people don't want to go against the popular narrative. Because they don't want to get dragged. They don't want to get canceled. They don't want people to talk bad about them. But if you utilize an ounce of critical thinking, you know that this doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. And now, with this extra added detail, it's worse. The story never made sense to begin with. And then to find out that she took it back, what are you left with? What are you left with? The dog barking on camera for 25 minutes straight, starting at 4:17, and you saw what you believed to be Brian Koberger's car leaving the area at a high rate of speed 3 minutes later. Why was the dog still barking for 22 minutes then? I said that I thought the DoorDash order was a sham. I said Xana being on TikTok at 4:12 was a sham. The only thing that couldn't be faked was the dog barking, and I feel like they made up this story around that. If this crime happened earlier, and these girls are texting each other back and forth a made-up conversation to cover their tracks, you thought you were drunk. You thought you were asleep. You don't remember what happened. But there was a whole conversation. And the way that the PCA is worded, it sounds like it was a deleted conversation. So you knew enough to have a conversation and delete it. I heard of sleep talking. I don't know about sleep texting. And I've heard of drunk texting. I've heard of that. But deleting the message after the fact, I don't know about that. And they know what the conversation said. And they maybe disregarded that like they did the other stuff. But I'll be back. I have a lot more that I want to get into. I will be back very soon. Because things are heating up. Things are getting very interesting. And please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about DM recanting her story. What does it mean? Should this be thrown out? Does it not matter? Does this change the timeline? Does this change what you thought? Does it confirm what you thought? Leave me a comment. Let's talk about it. That's all I got.